In phishing, our malicious actor is casting out a line to see who bites. They could be trying to gain access to your system, they could be trying to gain access to one of your accounts, or they could be trying to gain access to your sensitive info, such as your credit card. The most common way for them to propagate their phishing attempts is via spam email. I pulled the most recent 2 phishing attempts I had from my inbox to show as an examples. The first one is a dating website, and if I click that link, I will be redirected to a Russian website that is on McAfee's blacklist. The other message is saying, you have messages available, and this creates a desire to read my messages. I don't want to miss that. And when I go to that site, it's listed by Google as unsafe, but if I did go to that site, it would then ask for my personal info so I could gain access to these messages, and then it'd ask for my credit card so I could gain access to these messages. So we're trying to trick the user into providing us information that they shouldn't. If they were trying to gain access to your system, they would either have a browser exploit, so when you click on this link, if you're using an unpatched browser, or there's a new exploit for a browser, or a 0-day for the browser, much less common in phishing, but you would go to the website, malicious code would execute in the browser, and that could give them access to your system. If we're trying to do a file format exploit, they could send you a PDF or a Word document, assuming that you have an older version of Adobe Reader or Microsoft Word, and there could be a file format exploit in there. Or maybe they're going to try and convince you to download an executable and run that on your computer, and it could be a Trojan. For gaining access to your accounts, they'll generally ask you to provide information, and they could be mimicking a legitimate site. It could be a better phishing attempt than these examples, where they pretend to be eBay and send this out to as many email addresses they can find to try and get you to log into your eBay account or your PayPal account or your bank account. And if you don't notice that the site's wrong, maybe you'll provide that login information, which they can then exploit for money, or they'll simply ask you for your credit card information on their illegitimate website and see if you can provide that so they can use that or sell that later. Some of the more specific types of phishing we have are spear phishing, whaling, or vishing. In spear phishing, we're not just casting out a line, we actually know who we're trying to get to bite. So we're using personal information about the targets to tailor our phishing attempts and make them more effective. We could just target a company and its employees. We could look up this company on LinkedIn, see which employees are listed, gather as many emails off that list as possible, and then send a targeted email, and maybe even spoof it if we have that capability, to try and appear to be from a partner of that company or something that would be engaging to the company's employees. We could also leverage other data dumps and target customers of a company. If we know they're a customer, we could pretend to be that company. If we are able to gain records of that company and know what they've purchased, we could reference purchases they've made when we target them. Or we could scrape information from people's social media profiles, especially if their Facebook profile is open to the public. Whaling is spear phishing targeted at executives and high-profile individuals that would have a significant impact on the company if they were to be gained access to, if their systems were gained access to. And finally, we have Vishing, which is voice phishing. And typically this will use a spoof phone number. Generally, they'll try and match the first 3 numbers, your area code, or even the first 6 numbers of your phone number when they're vishing. So you think this could be someone local that you know, even though you don't recognize the number. Or perhaps they'll try and spoof the number of a legitimate organization that maybe you do business with, which is why you should never give information to someone that calls you over the phone. You should always call them, because while they're able to spoof these numbers for your caller ID, if you call that number back and it's the actual institution's number, they won't receive that call. So never give your information to people that call you.